Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining to this session, and thank you for Erbil Innovative House for allowing me for this opportunity. Let me share my screen first. Um, so, is it clear? Is everyone seeing the screen clear?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So today I'll be talking about, I will give just an introduction to industrial product design. Some people may know it as industrial design, or some may know it as a product design, but they are all the same. They are all under the same umbrella. So in the beginning, I will be defining the field. Then I will show what the designer do. Then after that, we will talk about the design process. At the end of that, I'll show some example from some designer. It's available online. Anyone can access it. They show the whole process of producing their product. So I'm showing a couple of examples. And at the end, I will suggest an exercise if we have time, and we will do an exercise of designing something, and we will go through the whole process, maybe for anyone who joined. So, brief introduction about myself. I started doing animation. My undergraduate was animation. I do all these kind of 2D and 3D animations, visual effects, and such things. Then I moved to do a master and PhD in industrial design or product design. So I start designing things like this thing, like products, furniture, etc. Recently, I'm more interested in furniture for some reason. I don't know. So I like to think about furniture ideas. Like for this example that you see on the left, I was thinking about designing or inspiring from past Iraqi civilization, like Babylonian, Sumerian, all that. Artifacts, and trying to keep the artifacts like within the current modern furniture. So I like to always like mixing things together, mixing art and design and science, technology together. I also worked on a couple of projects with VR and AR. I'm also interested in making things with that too. So let's look at industrial design. So if you start searching about industrial design on Google, for example, you will see like these nice images, nice drawings. People are drawing things. Maybe you will see some these kind of sketches that take the product or the drawing from one phase to another, and coloring and all that. Maybe you'll see some of final kind of product rendering, such these things, cars, furniture, appliances. You'll see people rendering this really nice. Maybe you'll see some people are making things like prototyping, 3D modeling using clay, for example, for car designer, they usually use clay. Maybe use foam and cardboard, 3D printing. You do everything to create mock-ups or models for your product. But however, I mean, industrial design or product design is actually bigger than only these nice things that you see or we see from the final output. There is really a vast amount of research go behind every product. So let's define it, what industrial design is, or product design or industrial product design. So it is a professional that you are required to design product, devices, objects, services, that people will use, like many people use. It's mass produced, millions of people have to use it, or like thousands of people. You are not producing like one artifact that will be used by only one person. You can do that, but you're required to have some kind of product that can be used by multiple users. So also it is a problem solving. You are trying to strategical problem solving process. And it's a creative process of envisioning better future. You're trying to create a better future for your users. You are enhancing the user's life. You are addressing their needs. So while you are trying to solve this problem, you are thinking about the user as well. There is a need, there is a problem maybe, and you're trying to address that, and your end final product should do that. The product here, maybe I'll show a lot of example or the images like they are tangible products, but maybe you can apply this to yourself, whatever field you are in, like maybe software or a website or whatever, like, service to, you can apply whatever I'm talking about in that field as well. So some of the common skill that industrial designer should know: drawing skill, 3D modeling, storytelling, materials, colors, some basic computer language, manufacturing, materials. Some people may get more focused on one area. Maybe they are really good at 3D modeling, but they should at least know some bit about other area as well. And they will be designing things like related to automotive, like car designing, the outside shell, as well electronics, gadgets, appliances, toys, medical equipment. Sometimes they design only the shell, outside shell of the product. Sometimes everything. They are within a team, like for example, an engineering team. They hire also a designer with them to help them create the design. Again, here some people will just focus on one thing. They are, for example, they are only furniture designer, or they are only toy designer, or they will be like multiple things. They do anything that come to their hands. And now, while they're designing, they include different disciplines. Like for example, they know about design in general, user experience, user interaction, user interfaces, service design, research, which is really a huge part of design. You are doing a research before you start your designing. So again, here people may only decide to focus on user experience and hire other designer to do, for example, the interface, or hire other designer to do the research part of the design. So it is multiple areas, multiple things that are going into together. You could study or at least know about many of them, but you could also focus on only one thing. So let's see, what do designers do? First, they focus on appearance and functionality and manufacturability of the product, and they're trying to give a value to their product, or the experience that the user will have at the end. It should be valuable for the user. I mean, it's not, you are not trying to force the user to use your product. Maybe sometimes people have to use certain product because of their job. They are forced to use it, but they are like, they hated it. So you come in and maybe enhance it to have a better experience for the user. I mean, so they are focusing on appearance, functions, manufacture, user experience, and ergonomics. I'll explain each one of them. So first, let's look at the appearance. Here you are trying to give a visual appeal for your product. It should tell something. There's a story behind it. You are trying to communicate something to the user by your designs. You could have a different style. You are adapting or from the environment. You're trying to say something. This, let's, for example, the lamp will look like someone waiting for you, or hiding under something. Or for example, you take like an idea from a bird that like a penguin, for example, and you design something from it. Or you will try to make something beautiful for the eye as well. However, this is not the case for every design, because sometimes this is good for a seeing person, but for a blind person, in this case, you have to design an appearance for the touch, because usually they use their hand. The hand is their eyes. So in this case, the appearance will move into the texture, the material that you use. Is it nice to touch, or is it repelling people from using it? So this is also, you need to understand and study. Then the function of your product. Of course, your product is supposed to do something at the end, and you have to achieve that. If you did not, then your product may fail. You could also understand the sub-function of your product and design around that, Maybe you talk with the engineering team. Also, you need to understand what is inside, at least know the size, or like, this will go there, this will go there, and you start designing around that area and understand all the function. For example, you need to understand the primary and secondary function, for example. Like, let's say a company came to you, they say, we are producing this electric kettles, but people are not buying it. So they will come and ask you, could you help us, for example? So part of your ideas are trying to find a problem, or how you're going to, part of your brainstorming, you look at the primary and secondary function of the electric kettle. For example, does it really boil water safely? Does it boil water, pour water safely? If it does, then you start looking at the sub-function. Should I include, for example, an IoT to it? Now everything is moving to the cloud and to the devices. So maybe I will integrate that. Maybe people will start buying. Or maybe you're just trying to change the look of it. Like, I mean, they are selling in some culture. They are really driven by culture of that area, but they are producing in such like an industrial like material. So you start looking into how to make it adapt the look from that culture and integrate it, and start selling that product in that area. So this is another area to look at the function of your product. Now let's move. The third point this is manufacturing. You need to understand about the material of your product, especially if it is tangible product. Then you need to understand about the material, the process, the limitation of your material that you are using, pros and cons. Like, for example, you are trying to produce a furniture from wood, and you say, like, I'm going to do this curvy kind of looking, but when they come to bending the wood, it may fail. So because you didn't know how the bending worked, like the process works, so you just did whatever. So you need to understand the manufacturer, and this is again from the first part when you start doing the research. Or the opposite, actually, sometimes manufacturers they are only manufacturing certain goods for other people. They decide, for example, I want to make my own goods, and they come to you as a designer. This is our machine. This is what we can do. Can you maybe design something and suggest something for us? Let's say they are CNC machines, and they come to you and like, we can produce something on piece of board. Maybe you'll start thinking like, okay, I'm going to produce a furniture, like, cut it out and apply it like a Lego, and you'll have a nice furniture at the end. So also you'll study the manufacturing. You don't need to really understand every process of that machinery and everything, but you need at least to know something to communicate with the engineer. Now, let's look at the fourth point they were focused on, which is actually the main point and really important point of a product designer or industrial designer, is to know about the user. The user experience part is very important. You are trying to understand the user needs, what they value, what their abilities, their limitation at the end, because you are trying to provide a joyful experience for your user. So you really need to understand whether your product is it useful for the people? Is it desirable? Is it viable? Does the user will value your product later on? Or maybe your product will recall a past experience. Maybe it's a bad experience. People will not like your product because of bad experience they had with the same kind of materials or the same experience. So you need to understand really what the end user. Maybe you're not designing for everybody, but let's say you picked, for example, high school students. So you need to go there and start understand this group and see what is the problem and how can you enhance their life with your product, whatever product you're trying to do. This is even if it's like, a software or an app or anything. I mean, you could use it for everything actually. And also you will, the user experience, it came from various disciplines. They interlock together. They come in to create the user experience universe. So you have research, which is the crucial part. You have also the design part, interface, service design, the communication part. They all come together to create the final user experience. Now, finally, Finally, we have ergonomics. And in ergonomics, it's a branch of science, and it came from learning. It helped to improve the people interacting with the product. It came a long time ago. I mean, it's shared with architecture, interiors, and all that, because they need to study, like, sitting on the chair. Is it like really in the right position? It's fit with the anatomy of the human. So this is also important. You don't need to remember all the measurements and all the numbers. You could have a reference book for that. Or at the research stage, you are really looking at only that part. For example, you're designing a handle for something, then you'll start understanding how the hand deform, how the hand touch the handle. Is it painful or is it not? So at least you do this part of the research. You need to keep it in your mind while you're designing. And again, it is also combined from different disciplines such as anthropometry, biomechanics, and environmental physics, body systems, applied psychology, and social psychology. They are all come together, or maybe different products have different area. For example, I don't know if you've seen this design, like the ergonomic mouse and keyboard. So in this one, they are claiming that this design help with, it is with the human body anatomy, like with the hand. It does not deform the normal mouse, it deform our hands, so it's painful. But with the vertical mouse, it keep the anatomy the same, so it's less painful. So it's like, this is, they study the ergonomy and they say that this is less painful for the people. The same with the shuffle. So they gave you in the shuffle, like they gave you an extra way to move the handle to best fit your ability, I mean, with less pain while using it. Again, I mean, you could apply the same thing with whatever product you are producing. For example, you are producing an app that gives sound notification, but the user will use it in very high noisy areas, so they will not listen to the notification. They not hear the notification. So this is part of the ergonomic. You need to understand the environmental of the end product, where the end product will be used. Now, this is the main 5 things that people, the designer will focus on. Now let's talk about the design process. There's a certain process every product will go through, and usually it starts with a brief. For example, you have a very detailed brief or less detailed brief, depends. But it carries the problem that you need to design for. Either a problem, either it's a need, a desire, maybe. Maybe the company, they already did the research, so they already have a problem. So for example, our product always fall from the hand when people using it. For example, this is the, let's say, exact problem. Then you will do your own research, trying to figure out why this is happening. You do observation or whatever. Or maybe it's just like, we're trying to improve our product. Can you, figure out how to do that? Like, we have this product, we want to make it better. So this is just a general abstract. Then you have to define the problem yourself. Sometimes they give you requirements like a limitation, expectation, what the end user will expect from you, what the benefit of it should have, and so on. So let's look at this process. This is the process I illustrated in this like 6 steps. You will get this one actually at the end. You will have all this information, also the PowerPoint, so don't worry about that. So let's start with the first step. The first step is you start to identify the problem. You have the problem. You really need to know more about it. You need to spend really good time in this area. Don't just directly try to jump into making something beautiful and nice and give it to the user, but try to spend as much as possible at this stage. Try to make a market research, user research. If you are using certain material, try to understand the material, certain manufacturing process, go and understand it. And you try to know everything as much as you can about the issue that you are trying to design about. Then the second one, you have here, you're trying to figure out the concept. You're trying to make new concepts here. So what do? You're trying to sketch as much as possible, for example, ideas or write as much as possible ideas. You just put everything in your mind. It doesn't matter how maybe it is not logical or whatever. You just put it there. Just put everything on a paper and write it down or draw them. Create your mod board. This is if you see this board, this is a mod board, which basically trying to have an end feel of your product. When I see this, okay, the product may have this kind of feel to it. Maybe you're not copying exactly these products, but the general feel, maybe the color scheme, or you are trying to have the material looks maybe similar to this kind of mood board. You can generate your own. This is for yourself, even the sketches and everything. You are trying to communicate this idea from your brain to your hand to yourself, again, back to your eye. So this is like, for you. Then after that, you're trying to explore or refine your idea. Here, from this, let's say 100 ideas that you made, you try to pick 2-3 ideas that really communicate the solution for your problem. So here you start making a better definition of your idea. If you are sketching, you make it a better, clear drawing, better drawings. Maybe you try to alter the idea a little bit. For example, if there is a handle on the left, maybe you move it a little bit, you change the shape. Maybe this ideas work. Maybe you combine a few things together to create enhance your idea or your concept. At the end, here you finish. You have a final idea. You need to define your idea before you start communicate to other people. So here you start defining your ideas. If you are drawing, you make a really clear drawing, because other people start going to come and see your idea. So you need to have it very clear. If you are rendering, you're using 3D modeling, you do 3D modeling, create mockups, 3D printing maybe, create a prototype. If you need to make a working prototype, make it, and just to tell that it is working, whatever idea you had, it works. So you need to create some kind of prototype, mockups, generate all this nice visually looking materials for other people to understand. And again, later after this, you need to communicate this better for other people. For example, the manufacturer, the engineers, some other stakeholder. You need to communicate everything now very clear. This is where you define the technical drawings, you have measurements, you create scenarios, like this is how the people will use my product, whether it is 3D rendering, or if you have a prototype, try filming yourself or someone else using the product, and you show like, okay, this is how it's going to be used. Create exploded view. This, if you have a product that combines like multiple parts, then maybe create, again, exploded view. Show the product in use. Also, you could show the product in the environment of the users. Like this is how the product will look at the user's environment, whatever environment is. At the end, that's it. You have the product, you start manufacturing the product. And this is where if you have the research already done about the manufacturing process, you just go ahead and start manufacturing. Then after that, you keep testing, evaluating. You start going again, analyze, synthesize, evaluate, and continue until you have a final really good design at the end. So let's see some examples. I have a couple of examples that are available online. You can access them again, and to really read everything clearly. I have this really rough, small images, but you can go to the websites from Behance. You can find them. I really like this example because they show that really all the stages, especially the research part. So for example, this one, they are trying to design an appliance for Philips, and they're trying to have connected IoT things in it. So they need to understand much more about it. So they did research about the history of the kitchens, the trends analysis about the kitchens. They even did a market research, what is available right now. They did some mind maps, brainstorming. They even find out what kind of piece of appliance is used more than the other one. this is the basic, like, the main process, or the main stage in the process, trying to figure out everything that you can. And they created also a persona. This is really nice to have. Basically, like a user card, for example, you have, this is the user who will use my product, and you're trying to have some information about the users. Give, like, for example, what they will do with your product, what they usually do, their habits, maybe some expectation about them, occupation, age, what they do, where they live. I mean, you could have a fake name and a fake picture if you want, but the rest, it should be real. For example, you explain this is their daily ritual, for example, while they're working in the kitchen. So it will help later on deciding, okay, I'm designing for this user. And also you are convincing other people that you really understand the end user. You could create like persona A, persona B, persona C, like as much as you want for the people who are using your products. And let's go to the next here. Here they are starting now figuring out how people usually handle the appliances in the kitchen. So they did the sketches, initial sketches about handling and grabbing products, the appliances. They did ergonomic study. This is ergonomic about the space, the hand, and so on, about the kitchen. And this is the mood board. They created this mood board that our final product may look something like that at the end. And this is finally, they did the exploration stage. They did the drawing. At the end, they created the 3D model. And they did the explorative view, technical drawing, various way to use a product. So they show how the product will be used. Now, since it's connected to IoT or to a phone, they needed to design the interface. So this is also included. So you have to design that as well. So, and they show a various way of this, how the lighting will work on the interface. This is how it's connected to the phone. If there is an application, then also you need to design it, or at least work with someone who are experts in designing application to design it, design and connect it to your appliance. And finally, they show the final image of the product in the user's environment. Now, let's look at the second example, the last example. This is a creator. This company have 3 different ones, and they are trying to design a better one. So here again, they did a market research. They did a really long study about the left and the right hand motion, and they made a posture analysis. This is really good. Like they figure out the angles of using the hands, where the hand feel painful. So they're trying to overcome these issues later on in their designs. They created sketches, initial sketches. They trying to find out more about how they will use, what kind of ideas they could have. So at the end, they created a mock-up. I mean, it's really simple. It's just trying to, like, in the TV or in the screen of your laptop or your computer, you will see it like, okay, it looked nice, but you don't know really how really big is it or small is it, or is it really going to work or not. So you create some kind of mock-up, tangible mock-up. You can handle it with your hand and trying to look at it and see, and they end up with the product. Maybe I mean, this is just a concept. They did not produce it at the end. This is just a concept. I'm just trying to show you the process they went through and the research, extensive research they did, and it's really nice. Some of these products you may you don't like how they look, or I mean, okay, I don't like the colors, or maybe it's not nice or whatever. But they really did trying to convince the client or this other stakeholder about what they did through their research. For every product, there is a subjective and quantitative, like measurements. Like subjectively, you may like or may not like a product. It's just like an art piece. You may like it or not like it for certain reason. But does it really work or not? And you need to figure out that. Even for liking something, I mean, you still have to do some part of research. If like all of your user will like the color red, so okay, yeah, I'm gonna design it with red because everyone is in my user scope, they are liking red, so I will do that. while you're doing this research, you will understand all of that. Now, you will have this thing. There's a Google link they will be sharing to you. I'm providing a document with some extra information about industrial design or industrial product design or product design. Some books, useful link, the example that I had here, much more. And this poster, which is the industrial design product process, you'll have this one as well. Now, industrial design or product design, I keep changing, like, using this or that. Like some universities will use product design, some they use industrial design, some they add this field under architecture, some they will apply under engineering, some apply science, applied art, or art faculty. So it's like, they put them in different area, but it's still under the same meaning. Some will say like it's a product design, then industrial design, like, the bigger picture, or some they reverse it. But like all in all, they go through the same process and they have to understand the same thing. This is all about this presentation. I have a design exercise if anyone would like to join. We are running this, I think, for 2 weeks. Just go through the process, do the research, do as much research. This is what's important for me, is to see someone go through the process. If you don't know how to draw, if you don't know how to 3D model, it's fine. You just do whatever. Like, you don't need really nice drawings. Just some ideas. You have 10 ideas. You picked one idea, then you move into the process. Next stage, you're trying the end communicated idea for other people. We can go to your Erbil Innovative House at the end, and we start looking at your sketches, and maybe later we create a prototypes and tangible prototype, 3D printing. Maybe we'll try to see how it will look. So my suggestion is this. This is the design brief. So I want you to design an accessory for COVID time. Now, this is very abstract. COVID time, it may mean something to you different for someone else, because we are living now for a year in this situation. So maybe COVID time means something to me different what you mean to you. So you need to define, what is COVID time mean to me? What happened? What the user I'm trying to help in this area? Then you are designing an accessory. Again, accessory is very, you have multiple meaning for it. Some will use it literary accessory as, maybe fashionable accessory. But sometimes maybe some people will think about it like, accessory, you attach it to something, you add it to your any gadget you have or something else. So what I'd like you to do is just define these things for you and say why, and do your observation, maybe interview. Let's say you decided to work with students. So go ahead and talk to the students, talk with maybe 10, 20 people, 5, I don't know, and figure out what is the problem. And you say, okay, I'm designing something like this. You don't need to design tangible thing. Maybe if you want to participate with not tangible stuff like software or other things, you could do that. But let's say also, like even in software design or website, sometimes they do this paper mock-ups. They they move it around and try to play with it and understand their websites or applications. So you could do that as well and join in the prototype section. Now, it can be small or big, small or any size you want. Consider mass production. You are not designing again for one person, but for a group of people. So you need to define this group and design for them, and pay attention for the process. Now, I would love if we do like a session, brainstorming session, but we cannot like do that, to do like, mind maps, sitting together, making post-it note and, draw a lot. You could do this with yourself, like the mind map. Role playing, we cannot do that on 635. These are 2 ideas also in groups. Basically, role playing, you are trying to play the user's situation. So you are the user and try to, do exactly what the user do, just to have an idea what they feel. So sometimes you also think about the empathy part of it. This is how they feel. For example, if you are designing something for a wheelchair user. So you take a wheelchair, sit in it, and move around. Try to understand. So this is role playing. 635 is another term. It's like with 6 people, write down 3 ideas, and in 5 minutes you write 3 ideas, then swap the papers around, and you keep doing that. Now, morphological chart, this is a nice one. You can do it yourself. This is if you have sub-function of your product. For example, this is the morphological chart. So for every function, you make a solution for everyone. Then you mix and match. So I take number 3 here, for example, number 2 from here, and number 1, and you mix them and create an idea number 1. Then you go again, do it again with other variation. So you keep doing different variation until you have many ideas. And then you figure out what is the best suit your situation. How to create this kind of decision matrix or value matrix, you assign values, let's say from 1 to 10, and you say like this one is maybe 2, this is 3 and 5. At the end, you calculate and you find the best one suit the context. So this is what I'm suggesting to do. But for now, if you'd like to join, I have other thing we could do. I have this idea. If you know about Mentimeter, I'm creating a word cloud. We can see it right now. If you go to this website right now and enter this code, you'll find this question: what does COVID time mean to you? And there's 10 text box. You enter like maximum 3 words. What does COVID time mean to you? Just go ahead right now. Maybe I can wait for a few minutes and enter this. Then we'll see what people think. Each one have certain, like some people, as soon as I say COVID, they think about, oh, it's getting sick or something like that. Some other people maybe totally think about something else. So it depends on your situation, your experience with that. So you can go to the website, and I can see it here. This is the website. Then you'll see like something generated here. If you can participate, it will be nice. We'll see how many people. I can wait. Let's see. You can write 10 of them. You can write only a few, as much as you want. Let's see how to resume. Let's give another minute. Done. So until now, I have 5 people. Is anyone else would like? Mm, okay, we can. So I have 5 people until now. So let's see what they. Okay, 7. Okay, that's cool. So okay, so this is what people think about COVID when they hear it. You can make a screenshot. Let's see if I can make it larger. No. Let's just this. We have 8 people. So these are what COVID time mean for those 8. There's actually totally different things. So from this, you could start generating like ideas and figure out who and what and how you can design something, or for who you are going to design, how you are going to design, and what are you going to design, like what kind of accessory for this. Like, you know, there's ideas like cheap. So what are you going to do with this idea? It's cheap. You can mix word together. It's fast, simple, and cheap, something like that. You have virus. So what does virus mean to you? Is it literally virus? Is it computer virus? Or is it what kind of virus you are trying to protect yourself from? Maybe because of people are now online a lot, so there's a lot of viruses on computers. So it's, you know, you're not literally doing something on in front of you. You are start thinking about something else as well. You are not, try to take this word and go around it and find out what can you else figure out. So you can put these, like organize them, add value for them. For if you want to go to the more engineering kind of way, create values, and you know, or you just put them on there and start figuring out ideas and what can I design for who, like who's the people, say online working, who are the people working online, what I am trying to do for them, what kind of design I could do, like an accessory for people who are working online. What can I do? You have 6 days. What 6 days? Maybe you combine both because you're working 6 days, or you are trying to do something with that, helping save money. Maybe, you know, you try to connect, work together, and see what can you do. If you want to make a screenshot of it and start designing something, and let's see after 2 weeks what can we do with that, like, you know, do all your research. I would love to see the, like someone who went through the whole process doing the research. But if you can't, it's fine. For example, you say, I'm going to interview 5 people from this user group. I'm expecting to find out this. So I try to design something. So you try to show us as much as possible what the research you did, what the time you spent, I mean, what kind of things that you looked into it to reach to the point where your idea is, you know, proposable to other people. And actually, let's see, yeah, that's 8 people, so that's it. So I am going to provide this again, maybe I can save it and I will share it with the Google Drive that you will get later on. That's all for me. You can find in the PDF, in the presentation PDF, references, all the images that I use. You can access their names, like the design's names, and some links, so you can, you know, enjoy yourself, have a look, go find out more about them. And of course, you will have these documents, some books, and useful links, and some design process, and again the references for the image I used. I will suggest you look at this, a short course in industrial design. It's really nice, showing about industrial design. It's an old book, but it's really nice. And there's other things here, it's really nice. All right, so thank you all for joining this talk. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you get something from it. maybe in the future you tell other people about it. Yeah, thank you all.